everyone. Happy Wednesday. Thanks for joining me here. We are going to finish our embroidery of the month tonight. We just have the one last word. We'll be taking off the stick and stitch stabilizer and we'll be prepping it for some free motion quilting that we'll do tomorrow. So lots to do tonight. Thank you for joining me here. My name is Alyssa Thomas from Penguin and Fish, where we make cute embroidery kits for the beginning quilter, or for the beginning stitcher. We are going to be doing some quilting tomorrow, so that's on my brain for sure. But thanks again, you guys. I'm here every weeknight at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. That's 9:30 Eastern and 6:30 Pacific. And it's a time that we can relax and craft together. So I'm here for about an hour and we can just chit chat and work on a project together. So again, we're going to finish up our embroidery of the month. This is the fabric scissors. Again, we just have the word only to stitch yet. And then we do have this stabilizer that we used. We actually printed the pattern directly to this stabilizer. It sticks on like a sticker, and then it washes away. So I have a couple bowls of water here, so I will show you how to take the stick and stitch stabilizer off, and then we will press it as well. So we'll be actually pressing our embroidery and getting all the water out of it, and then we will prep the whole square of fabric so we can free motion quilt on it tomorrow. I don't quite know what we're going to make out of it yet with the free motion quilting, but it'll be fun. It'll just be fun to quilt something. So, all right, you guys, that's the plan. Thanks for joining me. All right, I got my pattern up. Well, I guess we're done with the flowers. And the only is written in the same font, or the same color as the fabric text is, so that's easy enough. Okay, you guys, just gonna scroll through your comments. Hope everyone is doing a-okay today. All right, I have my needle in here. My thread is continued from last night. Let's just get her done here. I'm excited to take the stick and stitch off today. That'll be nice. It's always fun to do that. Get a finished deal. And then I found some scrap batting that I will use to put in the middle of this fabric and a back fabric that we'll sew together. And then we will quilt this tomorrow. So I don't have a big plan for that yet, but it is really fun to quilt, and I've been thinking about it lately, and we're gonna just, for funsies, quilt something up. I figure I could cut it into a square later, the finished thing, and put like a bias tape or just like a binding around it, and it could just be like a little wall hanging, or it could be just like a mug rug. Or maybe we make it into a bag. We kind of talked about that a little bit. Yes, Jocelyn, hello, sewing buddies. Hello indeed. I think we'll make a stitch going in this direction and come back up and go the other direction, so we can be closer to the N. So I think I'll probably have just enough thread for the N. I have a tiny piece of thread left just sitting around after this, and I'm hoping that I can stitch both the L and the Y with it. Otherwise I'll have to get a whole another thing of floss, and that'd be sad. Actually, I'm gonna switch from doing this back stitch to doing like one back stitch, then one forward stitch, then one back stitch. It's a different way to do a back stitch. I think in a subtle way, just the real back stitch looks better, but this is a way to preserve some floss if you're getting to the end of your thread and you don't know if you're going to make it to the end of your line there. So I just did a back stitch. Now I'm coming up in that same hole and doing a forward stitch. Let's just do this in 3 stitches. then I'm going to do another back stitch. Good. I don't think I would have finished this N without doing this. We'll do 4. I could have maybe done 4 stitches there to match the 4 stitches here, but I'll do 4 stitches up this side to match the first side if I can. So 1, and then I'm going to do the forward stitch. Again, it just saves me a little bit of thread. 2. Oh, Gail's gonna make a small zipper pouch. I do like that idea. I'm trying to figure out how I might do that. Gosh, I'm gonna try and squeeze out a couple of stitches on this L. Trying to figure out how to do that if I wanted to still quilt this square and have, that's gotta be it. Have the back of whatever I quilt here be like the lining of the fabric. I'm just kind of trying to come up with an idea for that. But for now, I'm just going to do some free motion quilting for fun. It can become something else some other time. All right, that's that. So like I said, I have like one tiny, I mean, it's sort of tiny. It's a decent size. I think this is a scrap from stitching earlier. I think, oh, this should be plenty. This should be enough to get that, the rest of that L and that Y. Okay, I'm a little less nervous now. Go weaving down here. Midweek already, you guys. One day closer to the August embroidery of the month, and one day closer to this this embroidery of the month going away. These months are zippitying by. Ugh, yep, and school's gonna start soon. I know there's a couple teachers here, I think. Just that Y left. I always end, we talked about this yesterday a little bit, but I always end with my text, and I'm not quite sure why I do that. Just seems like it should be the last thing we do. It might be the first thing you want to do. Doesn't matter. Oh, Shirley says, always looking forward to a new design. Yep, it's fun. Okay, just about there. Then we can take the Fabricelvi off, or the stick and stitch. I still have a habit of calling it Fabricelvi. It used to be called the Sulky stick and stitch. Stabilizer. It used to be called Sulky Fabricelvi, and that is still in my head. Alright, you guys, that's it. We did it. Let's weave in the end. Tons of thread left. I didn't have to worry at all. That's good. I didn't want to cut a whole new piece. Nice when a little scrap pops up. Okay, so let's take it out of the hoop. I do have, I'm going to shush all the thread away from me. I do have my bowls of water, so I will go grab those. You can, if you're doing this at home, just can run it over a faucet. You don't have to actually use bowls of water, but I find that works really well for me here. And I guess in theory you might be wasting less water doing it this way too. So all right, I'm going to grab the 2 bowls. All right, I have warm water in here. I think it's still pretty warm. Yep, we're still warm. I don't think it matters all that much, but I do think and I have a second bowl here just to clean up what we do with this first one. So I do think the warm water makes it go a hair faster, but that might just be in my head. I don't know. I've done it with cold water before too. So, all right, so here we are, and I'm just going to submerge the whole dang thing. So we're getting all our stitches wet, and you can already see it's starting to flake off. And it'll come off in like these chunks, like these flaky chunks. And our job, it's using this stick and stitch, it's awesome because you get to start stitching so quickly. You just print it out right to it, stick it to your piece, and you're done. You don't have to trace the design. However, it's now that you are making up for it. So this does take a little bit of time to take off. And I'm actually, so you can see all the little globs. So it's all kind of, the big chunks have come off, but now it's like all these little globs. And you can see that there's some black underneath my stitches yet. That's because the stitches are kind of blocking the stick and stitch from coming off. So I just have to keep going with this. I mean, we just put it in here. So I'm just kind of rubbing my fingers over every stitch to help encourage all those extra little bits to come up. And I'm just going around the whole thing, like literally every stitch. I'm just kind of gently brushing my hands over. But we're starting to see like the colors without all the lines. That's nice. There's actually a lot. I mean, these floral handles we filled in. I mean, it's, even though it's just like lazy daisy stitches, we really kind of filled in that space. So that's going to trap a bunch of the stick and stitch underneath those petals. So I'm just going to pay special attention to that area to try and get some off. You want to be gentle. You don't want to pull your little French knots or anything like that. Also around light colors, you'll want to pay a little closer attention as well. All right, yeah, like this light green. I'm gonna dig into there. Not dig. I'm just gonna keep brushing with my fingers like that in the warm water. Just take your time, and you'll be here for a little while. Alright, we're getting there. The second bowl of water, we'll be using that in a sec. That is just to give us like a clean area, because when I lift this up, like some of these little guys that are floating in here yet might stick to the fabric. Like here's like a little glob. I don't want any of those on before I press this, or like I don't want any of that on when I press this. So that second bowl is just to clean, to like have a fresh bowl of water to get all those little final bits off. So I'm like lessening the amount that I might have. All right, so at this point I've kind of gone around quite a bit. I think we'll just do this some more in the clean bowl. So I'm just going to push this one out of the way. You can see all of it floating in there. Let's switch our bowls around. All right, so in our nice, this is a little cooler. That's fine. I am gonna go back in, and any of those little bits I'm hoping come off and don't stay on the fabric. So let's check Some areas need a little work yet, but it is easier to go to a nice clean thing of water. So again, this I would maybe normally do just in the sink with running water. But this bowl way of doing it works great too. All right, these stitches, these green ones are looking pretty clean. I don't see any printer stuff underneath, maybe right here. And that will diminish too once it's dry. So if you have like some stubborn areas, like, you know, maybe you stitched yellow or white or some other light color, and there's some stubborn little areas where you can't get all those little bits off. Once it's dry, you probably can't see it. But I noticed there was a bunch under this text, and I just worked it a little bit. Like right here, I'm just going to go over that N a little bit. Yeah, now it's gone. So that cleaned it up quite a bit. So you really do have to go over every stitch, cleaning it out. And I think these flowers need a little bit yet. Can you place the piece in a pot of boiling water? Yeah, I don't know if you'd want to put it in boiling water, Sue. I've never tried boiling. I mean, I suspect that they're still going to need a little level of, you know, what I'm doing here. I'm not sure just more heat would make it so I don't have to get in here a little bit more, and I wouldn't be able to if it's boiling water. So I don't know. It would be an experiment. All right, so I think we're done here. I'm just going to squeeze it out a little bit. I'm actually going to turn my iron onto the cotton setting, because this is cotton fabric, so that's pretty warm. All right, shushing that out of the way. All right, first of all, I'm going to get a towel. I have a fuzzy towel here. So now this is, you're going to want a fuzzy plush towel, you know, a terry cloth towel with all these little bits in. That's going to give us like a little buffer for our stitches to sink into. So I'm going to plop that here. I'm going to actually, let's undo this. We can take a peek at it. Oh, it's so bright. Oh, it's so much brighter and fun without the stick and stitch on. Actually wet like this, it's brighter, because look at it. These are the same colors. Definitely a little lighter. Actually, it's not too bad. All right, I'm going to move our things of water so I don't accidentally dump that everywhere. Throw it on the other counter. Get this one too. Okay, so to press this, like I said, you're going to want, you know, your ironing board or ironing mat, and then your towel here. This is a little, I used this earlier today, so it's a little wet. So I'm going to get it on a dry side. There we go. Hopefully getting it kind of flat. I unfolded it here. Let's see, let's fold this up again so it's nice and flat. Okay. There we go. So you want that fuzziness, and then you are going to flip it over. So we're actually going to be pressing on the back. But this fluffy towel, all of our stitches that are dimensional, which is everything really, like the French knots, all of it, they're gonna sink into the fluff versus pressing on a hard surface where you'll squish your stitches. And this way you won't. Okay. Ooh, Barbara says I'm embroidering on felted wool. I think that's fun. And I think it will still work to soak in cold water all night. I think, well, the wool's been felted, so it probably won't shrink anymore. I think you'd be fine using warm water still. Cold water will work. That would work totally fine. I don't think you need to sit it in there overnight. You could just do what I did here with the cold water. I think that'll work just fine. All right. So I am going to take my hot iron. I mean, it's on the cotton setting because I'm using cotton fabric. And I'm just going to push right on top of my embroidery here. There, and you get the sizzle, get the steam. And already, look how it got a little lighter up there. That is drying the fabric. So that's from the heat and the towel. So I'm just squishing the water into the towel, basically. And at the same time, I'm getting like a perfectly nice pressed piece. And when I flip it around, oh, I'm tangled. Let me take care of that quick. When I flip it around, when we're done pressing, the stitches should still be in a good shape. So you can see a little darker color around it. That's where it's still wet, and it makes sense because, you know, that's where all the stitches are, and all the stitches hold water and stuff too. I mean, it depends how once wool's been felted, I think it's pretty much good to go. I wouldn't think that it would release more dye, because felted wool has been agitated and washed, really. So it should be okay. All right, we still have a little bit of wetness around here, and what I'm going to do is, I bet you, yeah, my towel's pretty wet, so I'm going to just scooch it up, because remember, we're pushing all the wetness into the towel. So you can scooch up. Oh, it's going to look nice. And we'll give it like another little press in a dry area here. Oh yeah, that's working right away. And it'll take us a little while to prep the back of, we're going to free motion quilt this tomorrow, and we're prepping it today yet. It'll take us a little while to prep the back, because I want to piece it together, I think. So that'll give this a little bit longer to dry. Gosh, I'm getting all the little ends in my iron. All right, let's take a look at it, you guys. I think we did a very nice job pressing this. All right. There we are. So you can see our knots are still look like knots. Nothing's been squished. It's all been just pushed into the towel, and it's perfectly dry. So, and there's no wrinkles at all, right? So I like this method far more than just letting it air dry overnight. If you got an embroidery wet, or if you're taking off the stick and stitch, I love this method. It's just done. It's ready to use now. We don't have to wait, and it has far less wrinkles than if we would have just let it dry on its own. So that makes me very happy. All right, love it. Okay, next, you guys, we want to prep this for free motion quilting tomorrow. So I thought, so what we need is a back. So this is the front fabric. We need a back fabric, and then we need batting. So I found this little thin piece of batting. I keep all my scraps, so this is kind of a biggish scrap, which will work out perfectly. We will, this will go on top here. It's a little wrinkly, but hopefully that doesn't matter. And then we need the back. So I thought, this is from that other project that we worked on, the stitching hedgie. I thought we could just sew these together, and this could be the back. It's just about the same size. Yeah, typically I like the backs to be a bit bigger, but I might just do this anyway. We'll just deal with it. I mean, it's a pretty small piece, so I think we'll be okay. So I'm just going to sew these together, and I think we'll call it that, because it is, I thought maybe I could cut it in half again and then like rotate one, and then we'd have like a 4-patch. It'd be like a checkerboard, but I don't think we have quite enough fabric for that, because it would come in another ½ inch or so, and then it would be smaller than our piece here. And I think I want to keep as much as I can here, just because I don't know what I'm making it into yet. So I think we'll just do that. Maybe this will be maybe this will end up being in a Quilt As You Go piece or something. I don't know. Okay. Oh, I almost flung. Let's put the needle away first. How about that? So I don't fling that across the room like I almost just did there. All right, I'm going to grab the sewing machine, and we will quickly sew these two together, and we'll press it quick, and then we will assemble our quilt sandwich. Okay, sewing machine. Let's come down here. All right, are we on? Yep, there we go. All right, so I'm just going to put right sides together. And we will just sew down the edge here. Oh, and I won't need to use my leaders anymore because we constructed all those leaders the other day. I can get one of those on. Ooh, something is flying everywhere. Oh, my thread got a little loose up here. Hold on. There we go. Ooh, again. Huh. I have like a long piece of thread here. Is this even sewing? Let's see. Okay. Huh, for some reason this is just feeling super weird. Okay, there we go. I had a lot of loose thread at the top, and it finally caught up to itself. That is not a straight line, but it's okay. All right, so now, like I said, we cut more of our little leader fabric here. So I'm going to put two of those pieces together. I'm going to sew on one side of the diagonal, 1/4 inch or so. I'm just eyeballing it. There we go. And remember, this was the project where it's just my leader. So instead of coming up with a whole, instead of having scrap fabric where I just keep putting it in the end, I'm putting it onto actual pieces of fabric. This is actually recycled fabric from clothing. And I'm going to sew on either side of the diagonal. And then I will have a half square triangle on this side. And then we'll cut down the diagonal and I'll have a half square triangle on this side. So I will yield 2 half square triangles from one of these units here. And whenever I'm working on a different project like this, I will just throw one of those on and we're going to have a magic quilt made out of all this scrap fabric sometime. All right, that's the plan at least. Okay, we are done with the sewing machine for now. Let's press this and we will assemble our little quilt sandwich. Okay, so let's get this guy out here again. Press that seam. I'm going to press it open, press the seam open, just because then it'll be distributed evenly, the layers of fabric. Ugh, this is cute. Maybe I want it vertical like this. I was thinking horizontal, but I think this is cuter. I'm going to do it vertical. Okay. So I press to one side, then someone suggested to press it open to just quickly press it to the opposite side. So then it's sticking straight up, and then you can get your finger in here and open up that seam. I always find this kind of difficult and a big extra step, but with this little piece it's okay. There we go. Nice. So I will press that on the other side quick. Oh, and we got some little wrinkles on the side here too. Kathy says vertical is good. Oh, Barbara says love those fabrics. I know, these were on my favorites fabrics for ages. These are one of the ones that just sat around because they were too pretty to cut into, and I'm so happy that I'm finally using it. I was definitely of the feeling of like, oh, I can't cut into my pretty fabrics. It's just, I don't want to ruin them. But now that I've gotten over that a little bit, and the way I got over that is because I feel like now I'm honoring the fabrics by using it. So I'm going that route. I'm honoring it by using it instead of like, oh, I'm gonna screw it up or something. I'm honoring the fabrics by using it. So, all right, I'm gonna get this guy out just to work on so I don't scratch up my table here. But yeah, so I think we're gonna have this be the top and this the bottom. All right, this is the back. I'm going to flip it so the inside basically is exposed here. Let's see, I just want to compare it to the size of this. All right, so I mean, typically when you do a quilt sandwich, you want the back of the fabric to be a bit longer on either side, like about like this. But we're not gonna obviously have that because I'm using scrap fabric that happened to be this size. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tape this down onto my board here with some painter's tape. It probably doesn't matter so much with a little tiny piece like this, but it is kind of helpful still. You know what, I'm even gonna do it right on the lines of my board here. There, so I'm gonna put 2 on that side. We're kind of not stretching it, but making sure it's just kind of taut. We don't want like bloops and wrinkles to happen when we're quilting it eventually. So let's put some at the top and bottom too. We'll just do 1 at the top and 1 at the bottom. See how this goes. There, yeah, we want it nice and even. So let's just do these at the same time. Make any adjustments you might need. I think we're just going to be fine. Okay. Next, I am going to get my batting here. These are already coming up. And I'm going to just trim the batting so it's about the same size as the background here. So this is a batting scrap. Oh, and it already did come up over here. Come on, tape. Now, really, I wouldn't want all these wrinkles in. You can let a fabric sit overnight, and in theory, it should release some of those wrinkles. But we're just going to go for it. So I'm just going to trim this bottom edge. Usually, you don't have to be so exact, but we are working with a little closer, like a little less edge than what I normally would. These don't have to be as good as the sides here because we got extra. Whew. Come on, guy. There we go. All right, so let's get rid of all this excess. All right, so now we have our 2 pieces. I'm not gonna tape down the batting. The batting kind of sticks on its own. So let's just kind of slide it like this. And now we're going to put our piece right in the middle here. I'm going to try and make sure that I'm lined up with that middle piece because we do have that middle seam on the back here. You could actually fold it in half if you wanted, but I'm just going to eyeball it. And I think right about there looks pretty good. All right, now comes the basting. And we are going to baste. So basting just means to temporarily hold things together. Temporarily hold several layers of fabric together is what basting is. You can do that by putting big stitches in. So I could just, some of my old embroidery floss here, I could just make some big stitches. You can glue baste it. You can spray glue baste it. How else? Well, pin basting, that's what I'm going to do tonight. So they're curved safety pins. So you can see there's a little bump and another little bump. That helps us go down and up more easily than a normal safety pin. So curved safety pins, you can get them at craft stores. So I'm going to just pin the piece here. In theory, where I'm not going to be stitching right away, I think I'm going to just go right in the middle here. And we're going through all 3 layers of fabric. So you want to work in the middle and then work out, because then hopefully like you'll get rid of wrinkles and stuff, because you'll be pushing the excess fabric outward. All right, then just get it together. And let's just do a few more on here. And as we quilt, we will get rid of these, because once it's quilted, so once it's sewn through, you don't need to hold it together with pins anymore, because the stitches are holding it together. And if you find that a pin doesn't work very well, just toss it. It's going to be too annoying to use. Like if you really have to poke hard, like it's just not sharp. Those pop up every once in a while, and I just toss them. I used to save them, but ugh, just makes life hard. You don't have to put a ton, but just enough so it doesn't feel like the fabric is getting all wrinkled on you. I'm going to put like in the 4 corners here, and then I think we'll just call it. So I'm just kind of spreading it out. I'm excited. I don't know what we're going to quilt on this, but it's going to be fun. I think I'll trace around the design. And I always like a layer of echoing, so that's when you go around the design again, just a little ways away. I think that just always looks nice. And it's an easy decision to make. It's about making decisions, and the free motion quilting to some extent, I feel like. Alright, yeah, we want to get rid of that last little bit of wrinkle, so I thought I had one more out, but I guess not. So we'll just shimmy that off. And that's that. So that's all we're gonna do to prep this. Let's take the tape off. So we basically have a quilt now. We have 3 layers of fabric that are being held together. That's a quilt, and so you'll get the first sense of how it will feel as a quilt. And I mean, we're just using this small little quilt here, but gosh, this would be like a cute little baby quilt, or like a little kid quilt. I mean, I don't know what fabric only would do with that, but like you put like a little stitched border on, or even just because this is white, a bright binding would make this so cute. And it would just be like a little security blanket thing. Oh, let's look at the back. Fun! So that's what the back will look like. Fun plants, and then we got the little floral front. Got some of that same green, same oranges. All right, I'm excited. So, all right, so that is really all we need to do for that. And you guys, I think we are going to end it just a hair early tonight. It went really quick to... So, you guys, it's just been like 40 minutes, and we've stitched the only, so that takes time. We've taken that stick and stitch off, we've pressed it, and we've prepped it for a quilt, like a quilt block, all in that short amount of time. So I'm pretty happy about that, and I'm really excited for tomorrow. So if you think of something that we should quilt tomorrow on this, let me know. We could write like "or else" with quilting if we wanted to, but I think just tracing around the design, I mean, we can get really in here too, and then echo around it, because it's just it's a nice like framing of the shape, and then from there we can go outward. I mean, there's not really a ton of space to play with here, so we'll have to just make some decisions and live with them. All right, I'm going to flip you guys around here. Okay, so let's take a look at this again. It feels like a quilt. It makes me happy. Makes me happy that it just is quilt-esque at this point. And I am really excited to stitch this together. Maybe we work on really small designs or something. I don't know. Small little space. But this is kind of how we're doing the Splendid Sampler 2 quilt. We're doing that project as a quilt as you go. So we don't have that much bigger of a square than this, and we're doing some fun designs in there. So yeah, I'm excited. Let's see, what else could this be? This would be cute as a bag. So we could, if we thought about it like this, you know, and if we lost some of these edges, it would be cute, like as a zipper pouch or something. I'm just gonna play around with it a little bit, fold it up a little bit more. Could be just like a cute little square pouch. Would be fun. I don't know, we'll have to see. But for now, I do like it as just like this little blankie. So here we are, the finished design. And I'm excited for tomorrow. It's going to be fun. And then on Friday, we will, I think, work on this koala label a little bit. We'll probably do something else too, because I just want to figure out the text. And then I think we'll probably maybe design something and print it from Spoonflower. I think that'll be the easiest way to get this label done with all the text that we want on it. So we'll figure some of that out tomorrow, and maybe we'll work on something else. We'll have to see. Or not tomorrow, on Friday, you guys. All right. Don't want the week to go by that fast. All right, you guys. I will see you tomorrow. Thanks again for hanging out with me tonight. Have a fabulous evening. Good night.